Hello and welcome. It is Brett and Coach here in San Francisco, where I am flying a Redeye to O'Hare, which is in Chicago. This is an American flight. Currently, we are delayed by about 20 minutes. We should be originally leaving at 11:58, but I believe our current flight plan has us leaving at 12:18, give or take. Let's review this flight.
But before we actually board this flight, let's actually see how we got this far.
We are off to American to get checked in and print a couple of boarding passes. This line might be a touch longer than what we saw for security. This is not a good sign because we've touched multiple kiosks now and all of them are closed. We don't have bags to drop off. What do you mean closed?
We agreed to not have any prohibited items, continued the check-in, denied a travel voucher, and printed our boarding passes.
So we basically managed to fight multiple kiosks to finally print out a boarding pass. We had to try 6 or 7 before one finally accepted us literally picking any option. It just said, "Oh, sorry, closed." Not the best travel experience, especially when you basically just deny everyone. And we were not the only person that had that problem. At least one other person was trying multiple kiosks and was getting nowhere to literally print a piece of paper. Security was a breeze, had a couple minutes of a wait just because a couple before us had pretty young newborn, had a bunch of formula, stroller, that type of deal. But I'm also the type of person to, as soon as my boarding pass and passport is scanned, I will take off my belt, pull out my liquids, make sure my pocket is empty. Even the microphones I use to record videos with will be in my hand. I slap everything in the tray, and I basically get to skip multiple people in line because I'm the only one prepared. And of course, I don't have anything, even remotely anything. Brian's over there. He got pre-checked. I'm security's dream because I got nothing. And I'm actually taking off glasses, watch, belt, shoes, in a timely manner. Nevertheless, security was easy, just a line, which was expected. It said pre-check had a 1-minute line. Ooh. Normal security said 7. I would say it probably took closer to 10-15. Other than that, let's wander around the San Francisco airport.
And saw the Alaska Lounge that we unfortunately couldn't go to.
This is the Sandwich Index.
So for the sandwich index here in San Francisco Airport, it looks like they ranged about $12 to $14 depending on if it had avocado and all the extra stuff on it. Isn't a bad price, especially for California compared to LA, but still $14 for a sandwich places it a little high for my taste.
This concludes the Sandwich Index.
Saw my mortal enemy, which you should watch the previous video to understand why.
But we've made it to the gate officially. Looks pretty busy at the end of this terminal here. A lot of people just seem to be standing.
And since there were so many people standing and there were no seats at the gate, we decided to sit down at Drake's Brewing Co. And I opted for an amber.
I will definitely be passing out as soon as I review the seat on this flight. So this may be a Brett in takes a nap in coach. We board in 5 minutes.
We're almost on time now. It's okay.
We'll take the little bit of a delay, but our gate actually changed from B25 to B24, which I think is the simplest gate change I've ever had. So I'll take it as a win if that gets us boarding closer to on time.
On the right was our previous gate, and now I can't see a plane on our actual gate. Makes me question some things for sure.
There are people leaving the jet bridge of the plane that we're supposed to be on, so boarding in 2 minutes, unless they just physically don't clean the plane, a little sketch if they don't. There's no way we're boarding in 2 minutes. I think it's going to go back to our original delayed time and we'll board a little bit closer to midnight at the minimum. Either way, American, please make some form of announcement and just let people know. I think it's just for the best anyway, instead of just leaving people in the dark. Everyone's tired, everyone's kind of just grouchy and angry. Just say what's going on. People are still filing out of the plane that we need to be boarding. Currently our delay says takeoff is in about 30. People are still getting off the plane. How long does it take to fully clean and flip a plane? 30 minutes seems a little tight to do that and then board every single passenger and taxi and get up in the air. So they just came up and announced and said 100% full flight, so there will definitely be no room for us to move about. Sorry you get the middle, but if anyone wants to check their bags, do so now. Don't think we're leaving anytime soon. So good news, people with pre-board can get on our airplane. So that only means a handful more minutes, our group 5 will be called, and we can get on our plane and get out of San Francisco.
Look at all the people vulturing around waiting for their group to be called, even though they're probably 7, 8, or 9. Standing up isn't going to get you anywhere.
So instead of boarding passes that we actually scanned, they asked for seat number and last name. I have never boarded a flight where they actually never scan these and just assumed that I was actually saying an actual name and boarding pass. Granted, on the computer they were probably double checking, referencing, because it is all true. I gave my last name and seat number, but if I have a barcode, scan it.
Don't forget to touch the outside of the plane for good luck.
So it looks like a pretty standard 3-3 configuration on the plane. I believe it is a 737 that we are on for our Redeye. Seat first impressions. It'll do for the flight crew. Seem to have a pretty quiet welcome on board, but a welcome is still appreciated nevertheless. Seat, I think, is pretty standard. Let me do a quick walkthrough for you though. First off, legroom. A little short on legroom, especially if I try to stretch out. My backpack will definitely be in the way. While we're down here, it does look fairly clean. There is a charging port. Tray table we'll get into. USB to charge. Fairly typical entertainment configuration, as well as what I believe is our safety guide, in-flight information, and a waste bag. If they did only have a few minutes to clean this flight, they did an amazing job. There is practically no dirt anywhere, nothing in the seat back pocket, nothing on the floor, nothing of that sort. Granted, I haven't checked the tray table quite yet, just because we're still on the ground. Great impressions of the plane overall in this 3-3 configuration, and it's a delayed Redeye. So major props there to American. As for the seat, I would say decent comfortability there, as well as a fully adjustable headrest. So we'll definitely see if that will help out tonight. Didn't help out too great on the incoming flight, so maybe this one will be a bit better. Is my first impressions of the seat. So far so good. I just hope that I can take quite a long nap on this flight, if not the whole thing, so I'm not super jet lagged to be productive tomorrow morning when we land. I'm almost glad that there is no seatback entertainment, so it's not even some form of distraction, that I can just plug my phone in and curl up and hope for the best. Or, well, curl up as much as I can at least. Boarding should be complete and everyone should be sitting down in the next few minutes here. I'm just happy that the plane isn't too hot, just because the last couple flights with the engines off, the plane got
very toasty very quick. But since here in San Francisco it's only like 55, 60 anyway, much more comfortable to be boarding and being on this plane before takeoff. Besides flying international, where I had to stay up for 30 plus hours going to Japan, I think this is my first red-eye that I've taken ever. Maybe the London to O'Hare counts as a red-eye, but this is like my first official airline named one.
But we pushed off from the gate, taxied, and then we were on the runway for takeoff. And I promptly tried to take a nap until morning, which, let's just say, it was much easier said than done than actually getting any sort of useful sleep.
We are going to be landing not soon enough, but fairly soon. I think I maybe slept 25 minutes of actual sleep. Just could not get comfortable on this flight. Not enough leg room, can't get comfortable, not really in a good spot to leave. At one point, there was a cat meowing. I don't know if I'm hallucinating or if someone's cat or child was meowing for 10-15 minutes. The guy in front of us, like immediately, couldn't feel his legs or something like that, so the flight crew had to help him. So there's like a mini medical emergency, which that's not anyone's fault, but it doesn't lead to good sleep. Probably about 10-15 minutes before they announced we're descending, we hit some pretty sizable turbulence as well. Didn't really feel that because the whole cabin is still dark. I don't think they did any form of beverage service, or I wasn't weak enough for it, which is fine. Don't necessarily recommend the red-eye flight. I will say the view of the sun rising over the lake, over the wing, over Chicago might be worth it. It's the only redeeming factor of this red-eye, besides a crew seems very diligent, very willing to help, especially when somebody is having some sort of personal emergency. That view for sure is definitely the highlight.
And the views definitely made it a surreal situation, and I'm just very thankful that I'm actually able to travel this much and see the world, if it's domestic or international. So I just want to thank everyone subscribed, everyone that has commented and liked videos. But with that, I am glad that I am back in Chicago and able to sleep in my own bed and be in my own city. And Chicago's weather was perfect to get the views, and my tip is to sit on the left side of the plane, so when you come in for landing, you get to view the whole city skyline of downtown. But after admiring the view of downtown, it was time to actually land this plane, acting like I'm actually flying. And the gate was ready for us, so we pulled right up to it, and the jet bridge was getting attached.
Well, after a long, sleepless flight filled with cats and possible medical emergencies, we are thankfully off and in O'Hare. No baggage to claim, so we're just trying to find a door so we can jump on the blue line and finally really feel like we're going home.
And that's where I'm going to end this video here. This has been Brett in Coach with another flight review of American. And don't forget to subscribe, it really means a lot to me. And I will see you next time in Coach.